Hey everybody, Brett from AstartesGaming here, back with another update for the Warhammer 40k tabletop blog. I've got two more posts up since the last video I showed you guys. The latter of which is the one you're looking at right here, titled Getting Started. I've got a picture of one of the first Blood Ravens that I've painted. Hopefully you guys think he came out pretty good. I've got none of them are like done. I still need to do some minor detailing on them, like edge highlighting, things like that. I want to make the eyes stand out a little bit more, and then obviously, you know, he's missing an arm and a jump pack. Those are painted. I just need to attach them. But I'm trying to finish like a whole squad of assault marines first, and then once I have that done, I'm gonna post another update on the blog with more pictures and like my methods for how I'm painting these guys, including like what colors I'm using in case you guys ever want to paint, you know, Blood Ravens of your own or what have you. So feel free to, you know, take a look at this and read through. I went through like my process. A lot of the models that you're gonna see me starting with are secondhand models, like this guy for example. I got them off eBay. They were already painted. They were super cheap. And so a little bit of the detail's been lost because I wasn't able to strip all of the original paint. So I think edge highlighting is going to be even more important on these guys to really make the details stand out. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Especially, I've never painted any miniatures before, so this is like my first go. I'm glad I didn't completely botch it. I think it came out okay. But yeah, so there's the first guy that you guys will get to see, and then I did another character post because the last one was pretty popular. I've already got some pretty good suggestions on like certain things I could do with these characters, both on the blog itself and on the last video. So I'll just go through them real quick. Jonah Orion was the Librarian from Chaos Rising, Dawn of War 2. He's a pretty cool guy. He basically was the only survivor of the battle with the Tyranid hive mind. Like every Blood Raven psyker on Gabriel Angelos's battle barge was fighting this thing, and he was the only one that survived. So he's a pretty powerful psyker. He's going to be in Dawn of War 3 as well, even though I think technically he died at the end of Dawn of War 2. Retribution, that is. I think Retribution. I think he died in Retribution. But yeah, he's going to be in Dawn of War 3. So if I ever run a Librarian, I might paint one up to look like him. Martellus, the Tech Marine, he's the guy that like gives you the briefings and stuff throughout the Dawn of War 2 game. After like, you know, Thule or Angelos gives you the mission, he'll kind of give you like the details. At one point his ship gets shot down and he survives like a whole year on a like a abandoned planet with a bunch of like orcs and Tyranids. And I think in Retribution you save him and he joins your squad. Apothecary Gordian is going to be the Apothecary in my command squad. He is the guy that gives you the mission to go get like the antidote for the poison that Davian Thule gets, you know, stabbed into him by the Tyranid warrior. So I figured, you know, if I have to have an apothecary anyway, I may as well name him after this guy, since he's one of the few, you know, apothecaries that gets a name in, you know, any of the games. Then of course there's Apollo Diomedes. He is the protagonist of Retribution and kind of a dickhead in Chaos Rising. For those of you who don't remember, in Chaos Rising, he is in the game, but he's not helmetless like this, so you may not recognize him. He comes in with like a jet pack or a jump pack. He's got like the bone-colored helmet on of like a veteran, and he's got a lightning claw, and he bails you out. Like he totally steals your kill, bails you out, and he's basically helping the traitor chapter master Kiras, whatever, without actually knowing that he's a traitor. And so eventually he gets convinced that the chapter master is a heretic and decides to go after him, and eventually he's the one that kills him. So I don't know where he would fit into a tabletop list because I mean he runs around with a giant. I think he was using like a two-handed thunder hammer for the majority of the game, but his equipment might vary. Obviously, between the two games, it varied quite a bit. It's just like maybe in an honor guard or something. He was in honor guard. He was in the honor guard in Dawn of War, although they didn't really seem sure where he was supposed to fit in. Like as I mentioned in here, it's like he's part of the honor guard, but he's also like the first company captain, or maybe he's both. I don't know. They didn't really seem to spend too much time thinking about it, and he was just kind of like, oh, he's a captain and he's a badass, and that's good enough, right? But yeah, he's one of the bigger, you know, more well-known Blood Ravens. This guy's pretty interesting. I am going to be running a chaplain, and so I wanted to come up with, you know, a good character to base him on. And so Reclusiarch Martellus is the name of the chaplain that you can recruit in Dawn of War Dark Crusade, so the expansion to the original Dawn of War. Now this is not a picture of him, this is a picture of the chaplain from Dawn of War 2 in the skirmish mode, where in Dawn of War Dark Crusade he looks more like a generic chaplain, a bit like this, but he's carrying a bolt pistol and the Crozius Arcanum, which is like that really ornate looking mace type thing. Whereas this guy rolls with a plasma pistol and a power fist. And since I don't actually have a chaplain miniature, I figured this guy would be easier to replicate because I have, you know, plasma pistols, I have power fists. I don't. Crozius Arcanum is very, very specific to the chaplain, so unless you have one, you're not going to have that item. And so I figured this guy would be easier to do. I have a torso that looks really, really similar to what this guy's got on, and a few of the various Chaos Marine sets come with heads that look a bit similar to this, so you can actually get them fairly cheap without having to buy like the whole box. You can just go on eBay and buy like a bag of heads for like $2. So I think I can make this guy out of bits, and I think it'll look pretty cool. And then there's Librarian Gentes Notorian. He's kind of an interesting character. He was added with the latest Death Watch box set release, and I think there was like a novel that accompanied it. But it's part of like the Kill Team Cassius box. He's one of the guys in there. I think there's a bigger set that comes with like an opposing force too, but he's got his own miniature. Basically, his story was that he was just like a random human on some planet, and then an orc wog hit it and slaughtered everybody except for him, basically. And he went berserk because they killed his family and just like mulched all the orcs, like slaughtered them all with his latent psychic powers that he apparently didn't know he had. And so an inquisitor happened upon him, and rather than letting the black ships take him, he gave him to the Blood Ravens so that they could turn him into a librarian, and then he was recruited into the Death Watch. Well, I don't know how that process necessarily works. I think they just say like, hey, you owe us some people for the Death Watch. It's not like a recruitment thing because it's temporary. They don't stay in the Death Watch forever. They go back to their chapter, unless they're a Black Shield, but that's a different story. So yeah, he's a Blood Raven. He's serving in the Death Watch currently, and pretty cool character. I mentioned in here, he's basically like a cornate berserker, because you can see here he doesn't look like a very stable guy. He's kind of scary looking, but his story is pretty cool, and his model or his miniature is cool. If I decide to use him at all, I would make my own, just because I don't want to pay like, I don't know, $15 for a single miniature when I have like parts that I could throw together that would look just as good. And then last we have Captain Arthurus Godfrey. Now he's a made-up character. He was part of the web series Behemoth. It's like a funny spin on the Hive Fleet Behemoth, which was the like introduction of the Tyranids. That's where the Battle of Macragge comes from, where the Ultramarines, like the first company of the Ultramarines, died like to a man defending the planet against the Tyranid invasion. And at one point during the web series, the Death Watch and the Inquisitor that are tracking the Tyranids run into the Blood Ravens, and the Blood Ravens want to help, but they're a bit hesitant because the Blood Ravens have a history of like acquiring relics from people, and so they're like, oh, you know, lock everything up, can't let the Blood Ravens get to it. But I thought he looked so cool. Like his armor is super unique. Like I like the one-sided cloak he's got going on over the one shoulder, and then like he, rather than a power sword or like a power fist that you traditionally see, he's got like a power spear type thing, which is really cool. And then that helmet's pretty unique as well, as is the armor. I mean, the armor, everything about him just looked really unique, and I thought it was cool. And I actually have various pieces that are fairly close to some of the things that he's wearing, especially the armor. There's a torso that comes in the Blood Angels tactical squad box that is actually very similar to that. It's got like a golden chalice on the chest, but if you were to, like, you know, shear that off, you could just put a Blood Raven's like decal on it and it would be perfect. And then the cape is probably the most difficult part, and I've been looking at tutorials for how to like make your own, and I think I could actually replicate it fairly close. It might not look super high quality, but I could probably pull it off. And then the helmet, I think I could do with, there's a lot of helmets that look like some of the older Mark armor helmets where they have like a Crusader Knight type look to them, and that's basically what he's got on here. It's just that that little piece in the front comes up, and so I'd probably just have to like shave down a little piece of like sprue or something and then glue it to the front of his face, and that would probably be all that it took. And then the spear obviously is not that difficult to come by. The various Grey Knights sets, even like the little $20 set with the basic Grey Knight squad, has a bunch of them in there. And I actually have one of those. I was going to use that for a lot of my librarians because they have the psychic hoods on their armor. And so I think I have all the parts I would need to make this guy, and I think he looks really cool. I just throw him in my command squad or something to add a little bit of spice to it. But yeah, so that's what I've been doing on the blog since you guys last saw it. Let me know what you guys think of everything, and feel free to jump into the discussion either on here or on the blog itself. And I guess I'll see you guys next time.